In a distant future ruled by stars and steel, there once existed a mighty empire known as Motherworld, a realm once held together by an unbroken chain of monarchs whose authority stretched beyond planets spanning galaxies. But peace is fragile, and the king was murdered in cold blood. He seized the moment and the throne. Though the royal bloodline had been completely wiped out, he declared himself regent of the empire, wearing power like armor. She buried her past beneath the soil she farmed daily, trying to escape the ghost of what she once was. Their leader, Cry, hosted the joyful gathering, and for a moment it felt like war had never touched their lives. But while others celebrated, Cora quietly slipped away. She found a place to rest, only to be followed by Hagen, a man who knew her well. "Maybe they'll be fair," he said. But Cora, her voice sharp and commanding, snapped back. "No, these invaders aren't here to trade, they're here to take. Give them nothing." Her words rang like thunder. Sindri, after a tense pause, decided to stand with Cora's instincts and went out to meet their visitors with cautious resolve. "Tell me again, partner, when can I expect my harvest?" He growled at Gunnar, his voice soaked in menace. Then, like a wolf marking its territory, he left, but not without stationing his troops throughout the village. Even if she convinces the villagers to fight, she fears they'll all die and she be the one to blame. Still determined to escape, she prepares her horse in silence. But then a heart-wrenching sound pierces the night. Sam is crying out. Soldiers are dragging her, pushing her around like she's nothing. One younger soldier, who had taken a quiet liking to Sam since arriving, tries to step in. But his reward is a savage beating by his fellow troops. A robotic soldier stood silently among them, watching all. Her voice roars through the square as she screams for them to stop. He barks an order at the robot to finish Cora, but the robot hesitates. Something in its wiring resists. In that split second, Cora fires. The shot drops the commander, and Sam is free. The soldiers laugh at her, just a harmless little farmer, they think. But in the blink of an eye, Cora unleashes hell. She tells them about Titus, a once great general who might help them stand a chance. Though she doesn't know where he is, she believes Gunnar might have leads from his trading contacts. She asks him to come with her. He agrees, still haunted by his own guilt. Her movements are lightning fast, calculated, deadly. One by one, she takes them down, slashing, striking, killing. His voice trembles as he blames himself for Cry's death, and the danger now looming over their home. He tries to connect with Cora, asking her to share her story too. She hesitates, but then the words begin to pour. Within moments, they're all either dead or groaning in agony. All except the commanding officer. He asked why she remained alone, unclaimed by love. Her heart, still untainted by hatred, reached out, but before she could vanish, Hagen blocked her path. "You can't run," he said, "not now. They need you, Cora, we need you." His voice trembled not with fear but with faith. She crafted a delicate crown of flowers and gently placed it on the robot's head, a silent act of kindness in a world on the brink. "Tell me, Father, what is this little paradise?" That's when Gunnar, perhaps scared, perhaps trying to save lives, stepped forward and hinted they might have some extra harvest this year. A fatal move, he said with mocking curiosity, his eyes scanning the humble village. He told Sindri his forces needed food and supplies. Sindri replied that the rocky soil barely yielded enough to feed their own, despite how fertile it looked. Her answer was soft but heavy. She believed she'd already been given more happiness than she deserved. "Love," she said, "was always taught to me as a weakness." Then she turned and vanished into the quiet of night. One man, a gentle farmer named Gunnar, often watched her from afar, his eyes filled with silent admiration and longing. One day, he gathered the courage to speak and told her about the harvest celebration that evening. At the same time, scattered village lords began claiming their own patches of power, carving up the galaxy like meat on a platter. His death shattered the empire like glass struck by a hammer. One by one, the planets under his crown erupted into revolt, casting off the old order. From the chaos rose a man named Bali Sirius, a formidable commander from a distant world. On a quiet moon called Velt, far from the chaos, lived Cora, a former soldier who had turned her back on war. As dusk painted the sky, the village came alive with laughter and song. Morning returned, and the rhythm of the village resumed. Cora worked in the golden fields alongside a spirited young girl named Sam, collecting seeds and tending to the earth. Suddenly, a shadow loomed overhead. A massive motherworld ship darkened the sky. Sam's eyes widened in fear. She sprinted to ring the emergency bell, a sound that sent a jolt through every villager's chest. Moments later, Sindri, another village elder, gathered everyone to prepare for whatever horror was descending. Gunnar, still clinging to hope, suggested they cooperate, maybe offer what was asked in return for peace. Moments later, sleek crafts landed, and from them emerged Commander Atticus, cloaked in arrogance and command. Atticus, ever the manipulator, offered 3 times the market price for their goods. But Sindri refused. He wouldn't sell what didn't exist. Atticus's face twisted with fury. Without warning, he pulled his weapon and executed Cry, the village leader, in front of everyone. Later, young Sam noticed the robot being shoved and ridiculed by Atticus's men. Back in her home, Cora began to pack. She was ready to flee, convinced that the village would not survive the invasion. Death to her seemed inevitable. Cora refuses to believe there's any hope. That's when Cora returns. Then the robot soldier strangely bonded to Sam arrives. The leader has her in his grip, using her as a shield. Cora turns to the stunned villagers. Her voice cuts through the silence. They can't stay quiet anymore. They must fight back. That night, while camping under the stars, Gunnar finally opens up. When she was just 9 years old, Bali Sirius attacked her world without warning. Everyone she loved, gone in a flash. Her parents, her home. But before they can speak to him, bounty hunters swoop in and kidnap the man, delivering him straight to Atticus. Cora refuses to give up. She grabs Gunnar and rushes into a nearby drinking den, hoping to find a new lead. All lost, but for reasons she still can't explain, Bali spared her. He took her in and turned her into a weapon. By 18, she was already a general, leading troops, crushing rebellions. The creature tosses him like a rag doll and crushes him to death. She turns to Kai. "Anyone else?" He nods and takes them to a mining planet known for its cobalt. There, they find Nemesis, a cybernetic swordswoman with a reputation soaked in blood. She's mid-battle when they arrive, fighting a monstrous, spider-like creature to save a child. She shares a moment she never forget. Issa touched a dead bird and brought it back to life. Cora saw it with her own eyes. It wasn't a trick, it was something beyond understanding. She says the king believed Issa could save the kingdom her kindness might. Ve healed the rot within the royal bloodline. The trail leads them to a barren wasteland ruled by a slave owner. Nemesis fights with blinding grace and terrifying strength. Her blade dances, slicing through the beast with a deadly rhythm. Still tormented by guilt, Titus snaps and refuses her offer to join the resistance. At the same time, bounty hunters present the captured informant to Atticus. Without hesitation, Atticus extracts vital information about the siblings, paralyzes the traitor, and orders a mind scan. They plead for an urgent audience with the rebel siblings. Levitic agrees and summons Deborah and Darian. The siblings arrive, guarded and skeptical. "Why should we risk our lives for your cause?" they ask, but Cora doesn't back down. She urges him to find redemption and vengeance. Her words break through. With fire in his eyes, Titus finally agrees to stand with them. Gunnar, ever humble, says her courage standing up for Sam was far greater. She reveals that peaceful villagers are now targets, all because Gunnar traded crops with Motherworld, exposing their secret location. Their bond deepens. Cora finally opens up about another piece of her past. Once the creature falls, she agrees to join them, a warrior unlike any other. The place is a riot of noise and spectacle, home to a brutal gladiator arena. But when they find Titus, the sight is heartbreaking. The once mighty general lies sprawled in the dirt, drunk, filthy, and broken. There they meet Tarek, a man who was once a prince but is now shackled like livestock. They want to free him, but the price? Unreachable. Then came the moment that broke her. She watched her boyfriend die on the battlefield, a horror that still haunts her every night. The next day, they track down someone who knows Titus's whereabouts. Inside, tensions rise quickly. A loudmouth provokes a fight, but Korra moves like a storm. She believes he can still become the leader they need. She takes him down with ease, her skill undeniable. The room goes quiet, the creature man brings reinforcements and guns. A violent fight erupts. Korra doesn't hesitate. She moves like a blade, cutting through chaos with precision. Then, just as she's facing off with the final attacker, Kai appears out of nowhere and takes him down. Korra spins, gun raised, but Kai gently lowers it. He's not a threat. Instead, he offers to take them to Titus on his ship, for a price. With no better option, they accept the deal. Then she asks if anyone knows where to find Titus. A strange man, partially fused with a parasitic creature, steps forward and shares what he knows. But just as they're about to leave, trouble returns. On the way, Gunnar suggests they stop first to recruit someone vital to the mission. Korra agrees they need all the help they can get. The slave owner smirks and offers an alternative. If Tarek can ride a massive black beast, something like a griffin, he'll earn his freedom. But if he fails, they all become slaves, Tarek agrees. As he steps toward the raging creature, he speaks to it not with fear, but with truth. He tells it of his pain, his stolen freedom, his unbroken spirit. The beast stops, it listens, and then it lets him ride. The slave owner, shocked but honest, releases Tarek, but greed knows no bounds. The slave owner decides he'll try riding the beast himself. Bad move. Korra beams at Tarek, knowing she's gained a powerful ally. Suddenly, Gunnar rushes in without thinking, risking his life to carry the child to safety. While traveling through space, Korra and Gunnar share a rare, quiet moment. She praises his bravery for saving the child. She was once a royal guard sworn to protect Princess Issa. Gunnar gently takes her hands, his touch warm and steady, encouraging her to believe in something again, maybe even love. Finally, the group reaches the moon Pollux, said to be the last known home of Titus. The others are stunned. This can't be him, they mutter. But Korra's voice is firm. Clean him up, she orders. There's no time for doubt. After a while, Titus finally regains a bit of his strength. Korra pulls him aside to speak in private. Meanwhile, the group sets out to visit King Levitic, a powerful alien monarch known to be hiding. Two rebellious siblings who lead an underground movement. Without wasting time, Atticus heads straight for Levitic's world, the planet Chiron. Korra's team also arrives on Chiron, rushing to request a meeting with the king. Korra wastes no time. That strikes a nerve. Darien steps forward with resolve in his voice. I can't stand by and let another innocent village burn under my name, he declares. Inspired by his courage, several warriors volunteer on the spot. For the first time in what feels like forever, Korra smiles, hope flickers in her eyes again. In a chilling moment, he murders the king with his bare hands, wiping out the last symbol of resistance in the region. One of his soldiers informs him that Darien and the others are heading for the port. A twisted grin spreads across Atticus's face. He immediately pursues them. But Kai adds they must stop at a nearby port for a trade deal that could help their mission. Korra agrees. The mission is growing. With gratitude, the group says goodbye to Levitic and boards Kai's ship once more. His sister Deborah protests, warning him of the danger. But Darien won't be swayed. He adds, if Gunnar found us, Atticus won't be far behind. There, in a raw and brutal face-off, she defeats him and hurls him off the ledge. Then, in a bold move, Darien calls on his men to join the fight. With mocking cruelty, Kai tosses the injector to Gunnar. Go on, he sneers. Make yourself useful. As they lift off, Kai turns to Korra. I've made up my mind, he says. I'm with you now. Back on Chiron, tragedy strikes. Atticus storms Levitic's kingdom with brutal force. Using advanced tech, they revive him. Through a neural link, he connects with Bali Sirius, the king of Motherworld. At the port, Kai drops the team off and begins blending with the crowd, setting up supposed trade negotiations. He vows to crucify her before the senators. As for her allies, kill them all, he snarls. Electrical currents tear through his body as he screams, a scream fueled by fury, pain, and the hunger for vengeance. He whispers an apology to Korra, then kills Kai and sets her free. But something feels off. Korra's instincts scream, Something's wrong, and she's right. Suddenly, Kai betrays them all. He announces he is handing them over. He claims he has no choice and plans to sell them for survival. Moments later, Atticus arrives, gloating over the captured group. He orders Kai to sedate them for transport. But in a shocking twist, Gunnar turns on him. Gunnar frantically frees the others. A fierce battle breaks out right there on the docks. Darien, fighting with fury, destroys the enemy ship that killed his comrades, but loses his life in the explosion. Chaos erupts. Cora grabs a weapon and opens fire. Atticus flees. Cora doesn't hesitate. She chases him to a secluded pavilion. The battle is won. The team returns to the village on planet Velt. As they walk through golden fields, they feel a bittersweet peace, mourning their losses, yet grateful for survival. But the story isn't over. Atticus's body is recovered by his men. Atticus delivers grim news. He's located Cora, and she is fighting for the enemy. Bully Sirius is stunned. His emotions swirl, rage, betrayal, disbelief. But he gives his command, bring Cora back alive. The link ends. Atticus's eyes snap open. The end.